afternoon. Happy and blessed Wednesday, everyone. My name is Catherine Barnett, and I go by Cat Barnett. And this is the Cat Barnett Podcast, episode 82. Man, just blessed and grateful to be here with you guys. And I also help women who struggle with their faith and confidence develop strategies and systems that lead them to gain clarity, direction, and purpose so that they can be fulfilled as they walk in their calling faithfully. And y'all, it is 3:02 Eastern time. Let's just do that shout out real quick. I'm super excited that I came here for the most part on time, and I'm blessed. We're still working on it, but like I said, I changed the time 2 weeks ago to Eastern time. So now I will be at Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. for now until further notice. And we're getting better. We're getting there. We're getting better and better. And as you may notice, I am in a new surrounding, not my place, but still doing the podcast. Grateful that my sister-in-law, her mother is letting me use their house because I am babysitting my niece currently as she's sleeping. So champions adjust, I still will do a podcast. You may hear dogs barking in the background. You may hear my niece waking up, but we're still here and I'm grateful to be here with you guys. And as I, was, reflecting, praying about this week's episode, um, it got me thinking because with me being a coach, I coach the youth. I'm grateful to be a basketball coach to the youth. And then I'm also a director at a sports complex for all of the adult programs, soccer programs there. But I can still interact with the youth there. And it got me noticing that the youth are always watching us adults or grown-ups, whether we know it or not. They are always, trying to learn something from us. And whether they will not always listen to what we're saying, they are always watching us. And so it got me thinking of just, I want to leave a legacy when I'm not here anymore, especially for my niece. I don't have kids yet, but I want her to, I want to be an example. I want to show her how, be the roadmap, kind of her guide, as like God is always guiding me on my path. So it got me even thinking about even the girls I coach that are like 13, 14 years old, even some are 12, that I want to be a great example for them because I know they're always watching us, especially me, being having a outgoing personality. Even though I am an introvert, people do love the energy and the light that God has blessed me to have. So that shines, and I know I attract a lot of people that way, and also the youth love that. So um I want to be an example for them. So I want anybody who's, in leadership or a mentor to the youth, this episode is for you because I truly believe that, it's important to be an example for the younger generation or for the future generations to come after us, which are the Gen Zs and the Gen Z alphas after them, which I'm learning. So, be an example for the younger generations watching means demonstrating authenticity, accountability, and positive values in a digital centric world. And as younger viewers, I know they're probably watching this live or they will watch the replay. Like I said, the Gen Zs and the Gen Z alphas, they are increasingly consuming media via social platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and there's even more I don't even know of now that I'm trying to keep up with, but I can't. And so, rather than what I grew up with, the traditional television, And I grew up in the 90s, y'all. So that may give away my age, but I am still young. I don't care what nobody say. But I grew up in the 90s, so we watched television, we were outside, but the most we were doing on the computer was AOL, AIM, maybe MySpace, and a little bit of Facebook. And it's crazy because I seen a video of the 90s, and it was just nostalgia all over again. But anyways, they didn't grow up with that traditional television like I did. So they are looking now more than ever for content that is relatable, authentic, and reflects their daily, realities, what they're going through. And that's why, no, not knocking them, but a lot of them want to be content creators or YouTubers, because that's the generation they're growing up with and seeing people their age doing that or a little older doing that. So they're thinking, why can't I do that too? Which, once again, not knocking them, but not everybody can be a content creator. Entrepreneurship, I love that. I'm all for it, but not everyone needs to be a content creator. I digress, though. But I do want to jump into how to set a better example, for the younger generation, for the youth coming after us, based on, the current trends and observations that I'm seeing. So y'all, if you're with me, say you're with me. If you're watching live, always comment value or a V or live, or if you're watching a replay, just let me know that you watched the replay. So the number one advice or tip that I have for you to be a better example for the youth and the future generations to follow is, number one is act with integrity and accountability. Act with integrity and accountability. Take responsibility. Especially this is important for us, the 25-year-olds and up, the 30-year-olds and up. You have the youth looking up to you. So model accountability for actions, ensuring that you stand by your values rather than compromising them. Be authentic. And I think this is a big one, and this is huge for me because I think it's so easy to fall into the someone else's box or compare to somebody else, and want to follow what else somebody else is doing. Yes, be inspired by someone else, but stay in your lane. The younger generations are drawn to authenticity over polished, unrealistic portrayals of life. They want real, and so do I. So that's what I try to be every day. And the last one in this, integrity and accountability is prioritize respect. Demonstrate respect in all interactions, which is, I believe, a key value that helps build trust across generations, because I believe it's really hard to build trust, but easy to break. But by just demonstrating respect to everyone, especially the youth, even knowing, being humble towards them, that you can still learn something from them, you will build trust with them. And that is key for the youth. Number two is model balanced technology use. And this is what I'm learning because as an entrepreneur, technology is big for me. It's how I communicate, it's how I network, but I have to be mindful of my technology use. So be present. While technology is very essential and important, it is very important also that you show up, and that you show that you can step away from screens to have real life face-to-face conversations. Because what I'm seeing with not all the youth, but what is the problem right now with the youth is because they grew up with technology, more technology than I did or the baby boomers did. It's hard for them to have these real conversations. They are online more, playing video games and having those headsets on and communicate that way, which that's cool. but that is not real, genuine face-to-face conversations in real life. So I encourage the youth to, and the millennials and up to be present. When you go to dinner or when you're having dinner with your spouse or a friend, put that phone down and be present. Have a conversation. Maybe I'm old school, but I like that. I don't like always being on my phone. So that's me. Um, the next one is be mindful of consumption. While many younger people are feeling overwhelmed by their daily lives and using videos and technology to de-stress, I believe modeling healthy, moderate technology habits is going to be very crucial. Like I said, you have to learn how to do things in moderation. I truly believe everything in life is not necessarily a bad thing if you know how to have self-control and moderation. Unless it's like, hardcore drugs that is just not good for you, or, alcohol that you shouldn't even be doing it or limiting yourself to anyways. So be mindful of consumption. Be mindful of what you're putting into your body or what you're listening to, what you're allowing your eyes to see. Um, and the last one in this technology, point is cultivate digital citizenship. Cultivate digital citizenship. Encourage, critical thinking about the media they consume, helping them navigate misinformation and the always on nature of modern life, because like I said, it's hard for kids nowadays to use their minds and think things through when they can easily just pull up a screen and type it in Google or type it in Chat GPT or type it in AI generated stuff. It's hard for them to just think it through. So critical thinking is really lacking nowadays in our youth. So I'm, as a basketball coach and just being a coach and a mentor and a leader for the youth, are trying to instill how they can use critical thinking without being on their phones, by whether it's games or bonding things, by just thinking it through. But it's critical that they know how to critical think. Um, so I hope you guys are getting value from this and encouraged to, be an example for the youth, be leaders and mentors for the youth. So before I wrap this up, the last point to be a better example for the future generations to come is embrace positive values. Focus on real connection. Even in a digital world, fostering deep friendships and genuine connections is so important, as many young people now prefer stories focused on these relationships rather than just romance or fame. So many youth and the younger generation have surface level relationships because they think if something gets hard, oh, let me shut it off. I'll just hop online and hit somebody else up. There's so many other people I can connect with online that I can befriend or connect with, and having those deep relationships, which that's I'm all for, hopping online. That's how I run my business too, by doing this, my podcast, my by being on Zooms, having business Zooms online. But it's still very important to have those real authentic relationships, those deep relationships where I can call somebody up, call a friend up or a family member up. Hey, I'm having a rough day. Can we meet for coffee? Can we get lunch? Can we go just talk things out? So those real deep connections are very important as well. Another one I think is important is to challenge the status quo constructively. encourage a young person or people to think about why things are done a certain way, which are going to foster innovation and questioning authority in a constructive manner. I want to teach the youth that it's okay to not always agree with people, but not fight just when you disagree. Have an open mind. Don't just have a narrow mind that it has to be this way because it's what I believe and this is how I view stuff. So this is all the way I'm going to view it. No, have an open mind to other people's opinions, other people's views, even if it's not what you agree or what you believe or think. And that's something that I still am working on every day, but that I had to teach myself as I got older because that's not my parents taught me, to treat everyone with respect, love everyone no matter what they look like, but they didn't really teach me how to think outside the box because my parents still have certain beliefs that this is how they believe and view stuff because they're African. I mean, they're immigrants and they got culture. They're stuck some not my mom is more, I'm just being honest, Americanized, where my dad, he's stuck in them African roots deep. Like this is how we did it in Africa. This is how we still doing it here. And to a certain extent, that's cool, but that's also not necessarily having an open mind. You have to be open to new things, open to trying new things, open to having new experiences. And I think the last one I want to go over before I wrap this up is and I think I'll be biased. It's important, and the most important to me is value growth. Value growth. Show that learning is a lifelong process and that mistakes are opportunities to build something new. You know, I think when I was young and when I was not really understanding what growth meant, I would stray away from anything that felt uncomfortable or anything that would make me feel small or just stretch me. But not knowing until I got older, maybe mid 20s, is that anything that stretches me or makes me feel uncomfortable is going to help me grow. And so that's kind of what I teach the youth. And even my 3-year-old niece, I teach her that, don't say can't. You can do anything you put your mind to. And with God on your side, nothing is impossible. It may be hard, but it's not impossible. So, what I'm getting at is ultimately the younger generation is watching us. They're watching us millennials, y'all. They're watching us baby boomers. They're watching us what's the see, I done forgot the other ones, but they're watching all of us older people. Let's just put it that way. So as older people, we have a duty because the younger generation is watching us and they are looking for and deserve to see examples of people who are kind, of people who are responsible, and ultimately people who are true and authentic to themselves. So we have a duty to show them what that looks like and to continue to be trailblazers and just continue to guide the way for them. So I hope you guys got value from this episode of, just being a true example of guiding and a true example of the youth and the future generations to come. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, but an even better week. And as always, peace, love, and blessings. And see you guys back next week. Peace.